Welcome back. Well, we're getting your lawn and garden ready as we approach this fall season. Esther McGinnis, our extension horticulturist from NDSU, is here with some important tips. Thanks so much for being here, Esther.
Oh, you're welcome. Happy to be here.
It's always great to have you here. So let's talk about what we should be doing, obviously, as we're moving into this frost season. I know some places in the state have already had it. What's important to be doing for what you have in your lawn and garden?
Well, first we need to distinguish between light frost and a killing frost. So our light frost is when we have temperatures between 29 degrees and 32 degrees. Then you can save some of your tender plants. So for example, your tomatoes, your peppers, squash, cucumbers, you can save them by placing blankets or tarps over them, and that'll buy you 2 or 3 degrees worth of protection. Now that's in contrast with a killing frost. That's when you have temperatures of 28 degrees or lower. And then you need to start thinking, is it time to be harvesting my vegetables? So then you can start thinking about picking your tomatoes, your cucumbers, and your squash, and most likely your annual flowers will be toast at that time.
So what happens if you know you're moving into a kill frost, as you call it, but maybe it's not quite time to harvest? Anything you can do there?
Well, you can still harvest your tomatoes. Now, you can ripen them off the vine. Now, this all depends on their stage of development. Now, if they are starting to blush a little bit, to have just a little bit of pink, at that point in time, you can pick them if you've got a killing frost that is forecasted. Now, you want to pick the ones that are blemish-free. You don't want them to have cracks or those bacterial spots because they will, in fact, rot. So you pick the blemish-free ones and bring them indoors and then store them at 60 to 70 degrees. You know, making sure that you don't have direct sunlight, so don't place them in your windowsill. Now, what you can do is you can place them in a newspaper-lined box and then put another layer of newspaper over top of it. Now, there's a reason for this. Tomatoes produce ethylene gas, and ethylene gas helps ripen them. So the newspaper traps the gas around the tomatoes, and then over a period of weeks, they will, in fact, ripen. But there's one thing to be careful about, and that is, take out the rotting tomatoes that are there.
What about with apples?
Now with apples can take a little bit more frost than some of our other plants, which is really good. Now apples can go down to 28, maybe even 26 degrees without freezing. And that's because the sugar in the apple acts as an antifreeze. So it's okay for them to get a little bit of frost, but once you move beyond 26 degrees, they may freeze. Now you can still pick those apples. The problem is that they will not store as well. But if they do freeze, wait till they thaw later in the day, then bring them indoors.
What do you mean the sugar acts as an antifreeze?
Well, it's about osmotic potential and such, and really what it does is it lowers the temperature at which it freezes. So it does protect the apple by a few degrees.
No wonder I get so fat in the winter. I'm just eating sugar all the time. I'm trying to stay warm. Thank you for at least making me feel better about that. So, all right, let's talk about tree care. And when it comes into the fall, moving into frost, is that a good time for tree care? And what do you do?
Well, some of it is. Now, the first thing I want to tell people is don't fertilize your trees. Fall is the absolute worst time to fertilize. You want to fertilize in early spring, and then the cutoff date would be 4th of July. The problem is if you fertilize your trees late in the season, it stimulates growth. So you get this lush green growth, and what happens is that this is the growth that doesn't harden off for winter. So you're more likely to have winter kill. So don't fertilize your trees in fall.
All right, when we come back, we'll talk about lawn care as well in the fall. What you'll be doing to protect your lawn as the snow is coming. We don't want it, but it's coming. Stay with us more when we come back.